Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, December 1st, 2022. Before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe, and tap notification bell so you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Also, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section telling me what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you have about your specific area. I respond to all your comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the significant feature map across the Atlantic for this evening. We see where we have that cold front that we've been talking about all week long, right there, stretching from the North Atlantic all the way down till affecting portions of the northern Bahamas and the southern tip of Florida. And we also have a trough right there still to the east of the Caribbean. We can also, if we look back at the visible satellite image, we can actually make out the clouds that represent this cold front. There it is right here, all those lines of clouds right there, and it is this cold front that will be responsible for bringing some rainfall to portions of northern Jamaica if it hasn't started already, along with that strong northeasterly flow across the island, also cooling down the temperatures this weekend into early next week. Alright, so let us take a look at the forecast that was posted yesterday on Weather Jamaica's Twitter for today's weather. It was said that we would have received some rainfall across portions of northern and eastern Jamaica. And what ended up happening? Look at the satellite image that was posted this morning at 4:35 a.m. We saw that we had some clouds bringing isolated showers, even one or two thunderstorms into portions of northern Jamaica. So Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, even Portland got in on some of the rainfall. And according to viewers here who leave their comments, people even on the south coast received some of this rainfall. So some of that rainfall spilled into southern parishes as well. That can happen from time to time, not because they're on the windward side. We can have one or two showers spilling in over on the dry side of the island, no problem. And if we actually take a look at the visible satellite images for today, we see where for a majority of the day we had a lot of low-level clouds being pushed by all of that strong northeast wind. So majority of the north coast had a lot of cloudy conditions, maybe some isolated shower in there as well. We didn't have much in the way of afternoon convection across southern parishes. Considering that December is starting now, it's time for the thunderstorm season to actually wrap up until next spring or summer. Okay, during the winter we don't really have much afternoon convection. Not that it can't happen, but not that much. So let us talk forecast. For tomorrow, we're gonna be having that consistent northeast wind according to the Euro. So anything from 10 to 20 knots across the island, even going into the 25 knot range, and the GFS is showing the same thing. So there's agreement going on right there in terms of the wind speed and the wind direction across the island from the northeast to the southwest. And if we actually also take a look at the temperature map right now, because in a couple of days it's going to be quite different. Right now we're seeing anywhere from 24 to 29 degrees across majority of the Caribbean. Jamaica seems to have the highest temperature right now with a 32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, but that will change as time goes on. If you actually take a look at the temperature map, keep your eyes on the bottom right hand corner of this map. This is where the Caribbean is located. So all of those reds and yellows and oranges represent above normal temperature. When we get into the clear white, normal temperatures, then in the blues, that's when the below normal temperatures come in. So we know that we're being affected by something like a cold front. So if we actually look at 7 a.m., this is 12:00 on Friday. 7 a.m. on Friday, this is what is going to be taking place across the Caribbean. And if we actually move along according to this map, the Euro map, we see where all of those blues start to trail down into the Caribbean, representing below normal temperatures. And we're going all the way up to the next 5 days, 120 hours. Majority of the Caribbean is in some form of blue, so that represents, let's say, 1 to 2 degrees Celsius below average. Okay, and if we also take a look at the GFS model, we're seeing something similar as well. The GFS is showing blues tomorrow as opposed to the euro, but as we continue for the next 120 hours, look at all those blues. We know that we're gonna really feel the temperature change. Maybe not so much during the daytime because you know the sun is out, but during the night especially. So you might have some persons using less fans at night time and so on. Less ACs these days in the coming weeks. Alright, so let's briefly talk about the sea surface temperature map before we even talk about the rainfall forecast across Jamaica. This is the sea surface temperature anomaly. If we actually remember, the subtropics this year had the warmest sea surface temperature anomalies across the entire Atlantic, while the Caribbean and the main development region had, let's say, normal or cooler than normal temperatures. And I was also saying that maybe that had something to do with the fact that we had below average or average hurricane season, so to speak, instead of an above average that was forecasted by most of these organizations. My prediction though is, considering that we have a lot of warm water in the subtropics, that's right here in the Gulf of Mexico, latitude Bahamas, east or northeast of the Caribbean, and we're gonna be having most of those trade winds coming in from the north because of these cold fronts, then it's only logical to think that we're gonna be having quite the wet dry season, especially across northern portions of majority of these greater Antilles islands, so Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica. Wherever the water is usually the warmest, that is where we usually have the most rainfall. And if you actually remember 2017, 2020, the warmest waters were in the Caribbean and the main development region. That's why we had so much rainfall those years. Okay, but that is just my prediction though. It might not happen like that. We'll see by the end of the dry season what exactly takes place, but I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be a lot of flooding and a lot of rainfall, especially across northern portions of these islands, especially Jamaica. It has already started, so we'll see what unfolds during the rest of the month of December, January, February and March. Alright, so let us take a look at the precipitation forecast across Jamaica for tomorrow. This map shows all the rainfall that's expected up until 10 p.m. on Friday. That's 3Z on Saturday. So, look, we're going to be seeing anywhere from 0.1 to, let's say, almost 2 inches of rainfall. Where do we have the agreement? The same places on both the Euro and the GFS. So anywhere from Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, even St. Thomas will be getting in on some rainfall. The GFS is showing more bias towards the northeast, while the Euro is showing more bias towards north central parishes. And so it makes sense that our workers here at Weather Jamaica made a forecast. It was stated that more rainfall is being predicted to affect portions of northern and eastern Jamaica tonight into Friday, December 2nd. So that tells us that it could be raining throughout the day on Friday as well. So tonight, Thursday, into the morning hours of Friday, maybe also spilling into Friday afternoon. And look how much rainfall. This is showing up to 30 millimeters, even almost 40 millimeters of rainfall. The same spots that were just mentioned: St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, northern and northeastern Jamaica. So if you guys must go tomorrow, please ensure that you bring your rain gear, your weather gear, so that you're not affected that drastically. Alright, so that's it for the weather across Jamaica. Let's talk about the forecast for the Caribbean. First of all, let us take a look at the Climate Prediction Center's Tropical Hazards Outlook. For December 7th to December 13th, we're seeing that a forecast has been made, and we see some browns here across the Caribbean. What does that signify? It says below average rainfall probability across the Caribbean, where we're having all of that cold front and rainy weather. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. The Climate Prediction Center has been right a couple of times in the past. They have been wrong a couple of times in the past. But what do they predict after that? December 14th to the 20th, the rain is coming back. And that makes more sense, considering all the cold front and all the cold weather that we're seeing being predicted for the month of December. Okay, so we'll keep you all posted here at Weather Jamaica on what exactly will happen with that. The green, as we know, above average rainfall. Alright, so let's just take a look back at the significant feature map across the Atlantic. So we spoke about the cold front there from the North Atlantic to Florida, the trough. And if we actually take a look, let me reload these images quickly. If we actually take a look now at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can actually see the clouds associated with that trough to the east of the Caribbean, as well as the cold front. We can also see some clouds, some patches of clouds coming into portions of Central America, portions of Honduras and Nicaragua. We can also see some clouds coming into portions of Barbados, Grenada, maybe even portions of Tobago and Trinidad. We still have some clouds coming in to bring some amount of rainfall across portions of the southern Caribbean. And all of these clouds are being pushed by that brisk east-northeast wind. This is 7 a.m. tomorrow. We see all that strong wind across portions of the Greater Antilles. Not so strong across the Eastern Caribbean, though, according to the Euro and the GFS model. However, the rainfall forecast from now up until 10 p.m. on Friday shows us, yes, that rainfall across northern Jamaica. We're also going to be receiving rainfall across portions of northeastern portions of the eastern coast of Cuba, as well as the north coast of Hispaniola, as well as Puerto Rico, maybe even portions of the Leeward Islands right there in the northeastern Caribbean getting in on some rainfall. So Anguilla, St. Bart's, not so much, not as drastic as what we're going to be seeing across northern Jamaica or Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, or Tobago, Grenada and Trinidad, but it is still something. And the GFS model also agrees with all of what the Euro was just showing. So anywhere from 0.1 to almost 2 inches of rainfall expected, especially across Trinidad and Tobago, the ABC Islands, Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, and Panama. So if there is any amount of flooding that takes place, please ensure that you guys take necessary precautions, that you guys are not affected that drastically. Thank you very much for watching. Please ensure that you like and comment, subscribe. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye bye now.